So let's answer the question if negative feedbacks can save us from ourselves. And you can Google what is negative feedback and what is not positive feedback. So basically negative feedback is anything that undoes whatever we are doing. When we give a disturbance to nature and it goes out of balance, the negative feedback systems tries to bring uh, that disturbance back into the balance. So let's imagine that, so this is from my documentary, the blue area is the humans, our culture, governments, monetary system, technology, everything is included here in this blue area. And these black dots are the technological false solutions, our technology and all these, novel solutions that we came up with, but false solutions. And these red dots are our problems, exponentially growing problems that we are creating by trying to solve our previous problems. And this was the representation of a complex system, which is nature, everything, eventually. And let's give an example of climate change as our problem. So we had some kind of technology. Let's say this black dot represents fossil fuels or livestock. And this is causing an increase in temperature in oceans and atmosphere, right? And this, of course, this is connected with many other subsystems, and some subsystems will try to undo this increase in temperature. And let's say amok, the ocean circulation, such things. And the case is that, can we expect these negative feedbacks to save us, to undo our disturbance? Well, the answer is no, but I can show you more, like in a quantitative way. So the first thing is that the probability of negative feedbacks is between 0 and 1, as all probabilities. You might know that when you multiply numbers, if they are between 0 and 1, when you, let's say 0.5, if you multiply 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.5, it keeps getting smaller and smaller. Let's say 0.25, then another half of it is 0.125, and then you keep multiplying it with 0.5 and it gets smaller and smaller. And that's one reason that's why our chances will get smaller and smaller, as we are expecting all these disturbances to be balanced by negative feedbacks. And you will see that it's near impossible. And and I might say that eventually the system comes to balance with those negative feedbacks, but that happens by the wisdom of the existing inherent knowledge of the system. This knowledge is established by the evolution. The planet, the nature, learned how to establish these useful negative feedbacks by trial and error. It has this capacity to balance itself. It learned it. It tried it, and by trial and error, it has such feedbacks. And these are just creation of pure chance. You can say, okay, eventually these negative feedbacks will lead to a new harmonious system, but this will happen by the knowledge of the past evolution, and also into the future over millions of years by the new knowledge, which will also come from evolution. Then these new harmonious balanced states will, will be formed. But we are talking about a very novel disturbance here. So the system doesn't have wisdom, the knowledge how to fix that, which is us right now, the technology. So the one reason was that we are expecting too many feedbacks uh, to be negative, and 0.5, when you multiply it gets close to zero. And even one feedback is positive, then let's say we disturb here, and imagine that we had so little chances, but we were so lucky that we had all these adjacent cells having negative feedbacks, and it corrected itself what we did. But we had just one positive feedback here, and this positive feedback will leak into the other system, which will also keep causing problems. Of course, our problems will be much less because of this, because we are so lucky, near impossible lucky. But still, it is near impossibility. That's why I'm saying we are taking a huge risk by such novelties. Another thing is that when we disturb these adjacent cells and we get a negative feedback, let's say we give, let me give climate change as an example. We disturb the atmosphere and oceans and increase its temperature. And this increase in temperature, in some cases, will be there will be negative feedbacks to reduce this increase in temperature. Let's say by AMOC, the ocean circulation, such things, which there are very few, but there will be some feedbacks to undo this increase in temperature. But the thing is, when this system, the other system here, that is undoing the increase in temperature, has to change itself to undo that change. Let's say the ocean circulation must stop to decrease the temperature. So we created another problem here. And this problem will cause also other problems in the adjacent cells, and eventually it will come back to us again in other ways, and we will again try to solve them by other kinds of technological false solutions, and this will keep going on and going on. And so, in summary, the negative feedbacks will not save us. They can't save us. Uh, at best, they can reduce the risks, but not that much, because as we saw, we need to multiply all the feedbacks. They don't play a huge role, let's say, in our survival if we keep coming up with novel solutions, because as I showed you here, when we send a signal of disturbance, although there might be negative feedbacks to that disturbance, when the whole system is concerned, we are still creating other problems in even those other systems that are trying to balance this disturbance. So this disturbance is still leaking into other cells, other subsystems of the whole system. Negative feedbacks will eventually make the whole system come into a new balance. But these negative feedbacks, to be able to do that, it needs huge amount of time. Either it has been learned in the past before this technological novel disturbance, so that it has built-in knowledge, trial and error. what worked and what it didn't, and the evolution took the path that's the best, what worked, and that's how it's positioned itself in a place where the negative feedbacks exist to bring the system into balance that favors life, favors evolution. So that's evolution basically. So it also needs time into the future that by trial and error, by learning process, the whole system, the subsystems of the whole system will learn, in quotation marks, they will learn how to, all these negative feedbacks, and whatever works, whoever can bring these negative feedbacks will survive and reproduce. That's how the whole system will come to a new balance, more harmonious state. But it takes time. Evolution takes huge amounts of time. In summary, we shouldn't expect the negative feedbacks to save us from ourselves due to these reasons that I just mentioned. Because, okay, some of you might say, now that we have technological evolution, it is faster, it's not that slow. Wait a minute, you are forgetting the whole other, the greener area, the system that is uh, evolving in a natural pace. Yes, you might look at here locally and say, yeah, we are evolving faster and faster, but look at the rest. I mean, we saw in the documentary that the disregard for the rest is what is causing our problems, our demise, what will bring our demise. The disregard for the rest. Either the technology will get rid of all these natural, DNA-based evolution, including humanity, including us, and take over and become like robotic or whatever, which is very low probability again, but that's one thing that might happen, which will balance the difference in the evolutionary rates between this blue area and the rest. Or it's more likely that this blue area will diminish, so the rest of the green area will keep going on and finding new balance, new harmonies, etc. So thank you very much for listening.